Okay, today we are going to talk about how you create your own reality. I know, it sounds kind of crazy, but you can actually influence your reality. You can influence the world around you, the universe around you, simply by your thoughts, simply by what you believe. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you heard about the placebo effect? Have you kind of wondered, is the placebo effect real? Well, we're going to look at that today, and we're going to show how the placebo effect actually shows that you can change your body and you can change other things in your life. So imagine what you could do if you had that power to create the kind of life you want to live. All right, we're talking today about, is the placebo effect real? Now, if you don't know about the placebo effect, it is this amazing thing that has fascinated me for so long. I'm excited that now science is shifting, and instead of focusing on, like they used to, actually, let me back up. You know what the placebo effect is, right? It's where when they're doing clinical trials, often of drugs, they will give people the real medicine, and then they will also give them something that's fake. Often it's a sugar pill or, water or something that is actually has no medical value to it. And they will tell them that this is the real drug. And they get better. In fact, between like 12 and 78% of the time, the placebo effect causes people to get better. And the medical community used to get really upset about this because it was getting in the way of real science. And now real science is looking at the placebo effect and they're saying, wait a second, this shows what we can do simply through the power of our thought. Because if you believe that this thing is going to cure you and make you better, it does. Okay, so let me share with you 3 stories. The first story has been documented just extensively. It was one of the first really big studies that showed how effective the placebo effect really is. And it was a patient that they called Mr. Wright. I'm sure that his name was changed to protect his identity. But he had cancer. He had cancer in a really big way. I mean, the tumors were in his armpits and they were the size of apricots. And he found out that he was in one of only, this is like 1952, he found out he was in one of only 10 hospitals that was treating people with a specific drug that would help cure cancer. And he was so excited. He begged his doctor, please let me take part in this study. Please, I want to be part of this. And his doctor looked into it and found out that he actually wasn't a candidate because you had to have a prognosis that said you would live at least 3 months. And they didn't think this guy was even going to make it through the weekend. He was that sick. But he begged his doctor to let him participate. So his doctor decided to give him some of the drug. Except it wasn't some of the drug. It was distilled water. It was distilled water that he gave him, and he just kind of figured he would be gone by the weekend, and was surprised when he came back on Monday and found Mr. Wright was walking around and he was feeling better. And he said that those tumors melted away like butter on a hot, or snowballs on a hot stove is what he termed it. And anyway, he had this amazing recovery. Within 2 weeks, Mr. Wright was out of the hospital and home recovering. Except that this drug was under investigation, and the newspapers reported that maybe it's not the wonder drug that we thought it was. Well, Mr. Wright read about this and he relapsed. His cancer returned and he got really sick again. Came back into the hospital. The doctor this time decided he was going to do something different, and he told Mr. Wright, the strand of medicine that I gave you actually wasn't as pure as possible. I'm going to give you a double dose, and it is going to be the ultra pure stuff. So he gave that to him, and within just a couple of days, he was again back to normal. He was feeling healthy. He was happy. He'd been cured, essentially. It's this amazing recovery. And then I think it was 6 months later, he's home, recovered, and was reading the newspaper when the American Medical Association reported that that drug that they had been doing all these clinical trials on, it's no good, absolutely doesn't work. Mr. Wright relapsed and died within 2 days. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, that shows the effect, the effect that the placebo effect can have on our minds. When we believe something is going to cure us, it does. Now, let me share a couple other stories with you. One is, this was done in 2002. They did sham knee surgery. So this is not just placebos as far as like a sugar pill or something. This is actual surgery. And they had 3 different groups. And they did orthoscopic surgery. Now, I had orthoscopic surgery when I was 15. And it was kind of this amazing thing. They would drill these 3 holes in to your knee, and then they would stick a camera in, look around, and then cut out the cartilage that was causing problems. At least that's what they did for me. For these people, they divided them into 3 groups. In one group, they did just that. They performed an actual surgery, drilling the 3 holes, putting the camera in, clipping the cartilage. Group number 2, they told them that they were having surgery, and they cut the 3 holes, but they just flushed it with water, just ran a jet of water in it. The third group, they cut the 3 holes, and that was it. But they told them that they had had the surgery, all 3 groups. And then they followed those people, and it was 180 patients. I mean, this was a pretty good-sized group of people. They followed them, and up to 2 years later, while they were still following them, all 3 groups reported that they felt fantastic. And none of the 2 groups that had actually had surgery reported any better findings than the placebo effect, than the placebo group, sorry. I hope I'm explaining that right to you. So, you know, the more we believe something's going to cure us, the more it does. Now let me tell you about one last study they did. This was at Harvard. Ted Kapchuk, if I'm saying that right, was the doctor, and he was studying people with irritable bowel syndrome. They had irritable bowel syndrome, and he gave them a placebo, and he said, "I'm giving you a placebo." And guess what? Even then, it had this huge cure rate where it was 2 times more effective than the group that didn't have anything. Even if people knew, we're giving you something that has no medical value to it at all, even those people believed that it was going to do something different for them. Isn't that amazing? So anyway, I just want to share a little bit more. I'm reading this amazing book. It's called You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza. You got to check it out. It's an amazing book. And what he talks about in here is he lists some of these studies, some of these amazing studies. But what he does really is he poses the question, what if you could change your life simply by changing your thoughts? What if you want to change your relationships? What if you want to change your health? What if you want to change your financial status? Can you do that simply through the power of thought? And it's an interesting idea. And what he shows in here is people who believe that something is going to change in their life, they actually start experiencing that. Whether it's health, whether it's relationships, whether it's financial status, job status, anything like that. The people who believe life is going to get better for them, life gets better for them. But the tricky thing is we have to convince our mind, we have to get ourselves into a state of belief. And that's what this whole series is about. And I hope that you've joined me for more than just one episode. And if you haven't, subscribe, click the link at the end, and you will be able to hear more stories about how we can change our lives simply through the power of our thoughts, through the power of our stories that we tell ourselves over and over again, and through changing our identity to something that is constructive and helpful. So I just wanted to share some of these thoughts with you. If you feel stuck, if you feel trapped, if you feel like life is just, man, I can't seem to get out of this invisible turnstile. I just keep spinning my wheels and staying in the same place. If you're feeling like that, I want you to know that you can absolutely change your conditions simply by changing the stories you tell about yourself, changing your identity, changing your thought process, and it's absolutely possible. So make sure you join me for another episode. We'll talk about some more. What can you add? Now, are you ready to join the conversation? Are you willing to add your voice, your thoughts, your ideas, your impressions? If so, add them in the comment section below. We need your voice. Now, if you have been inspired to take action, don't let an impression slip by. Train yourself to listen to and follow your inner voice. Of course, the best place to take action is at scottwilhite.com, because if you join me for a free web class, you will receive a copy of my Purpose Planner, the tool you've been missing that will help you uncover your purpose. You can totally do this. Your roots produce your fruits. Choose your beliefs and pick your identity. It is choice, not chance, that determines your reality. See you next time.